Welcome back, everyone. We've got another week's worth of gaming news to break down for you.
Yeah, it's been a busy one, honestly.
Seriously, there's a lot of ground to cover, some big announcements, some potential shakeups in the industry.
Hmm. Definitely some moves that have us scratching our heads a bit and some that have us pretty excited.
So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Starting with something that might disappoint some folks. BlizzCon.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the big BlizzCon news.
They announced that there won't be a BlizzCon in 2025.
Which is kind of a bummer, considering that would have been their 20th anniversary.
I know, right? A big milestone.
And it would have been the second year in a row without a BlizzCon.
First time that's happened since it started way back in 2005.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
They did say it'll be back in 2026, though.
Oh, okay, so not gone for good.
Yeah, September 12th and 13th, 2026, back in Anaheim.
At least we have a date to look forward to.
Yeah, and they're saying they want to make it really special, meaningfully elevate this iconic celebration.
Right, gotta make up for the missed year, I guess.
Exactly. All the usual stuff will be there. Panels, the Dark Moon Fair, competitions, hands-on gameplay.
All the good stuff that makes BlizzCon what it is.
But still, no real explanation for why they're skipping 2025.
Yeah, that's the part that's a little strange.
Like, were they just focusing on making 2026 amazing? Or are there other factors at play?
Maybe their game development schedules are just not lining up for a 2025 event.
That's possible. Or maybe they're rethinking the whole format of BlizzCon.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see what they have in store for us in 2026.
Well, speaking of companies shaking things up, there are reports that Ubisoft might be considering a major structural change.
Oh, really? What's going on over at Ubisoft?
The reports suggest they're thinking about creating a whole new business unit.
A new business unit, huh? What for?
Well, apparently this new unit would be responsible for managing their biggest, most well-known franchises.
Oh, wow. Like which franchises are we talking about here?
Think Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, Far Cry, the big hitters.
Whoa, that's a pretty huge chunk of their portfolio.
Right. And get this, there's talk of potentially bringing in outside investors for this new entity.
Outside investors, like who?
Even companies like Tencent are being mentioned.
Wow, Tencent, that's massive. That would be a significant partnership.
And some reports even suggest that this new unit, with those huge franchises under its umbrella, could actually be valued higher than Ubisoft itself.
Hold on, higher than Ubisoft itself? That's wild. So what happens to the original Ubisoft if this happens?
Well, apparently the Guillemot family, who currently control Ubisoft, would still retain ownership of the main company.
So kind of a split then.
Yeah, kind of. It seems like a way for them to, I don't know, maybe unlock more value from those powerhouse franchises.
And maybe streamline their focus a bit, Separate the mega franchises from the rest of their operations.
It's definitely a bold move, and it seems to be driven by some of the challenges Ubisoft's been facing lately.
Yeah, their stock price hasn't been doing so hot, and some of their recent game launches haven't quite met expectations.
Like Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, and remember the delays with Assassin's Creed Shadows.
It's supposed to be out next week, finally.
It does feel like they're trying to adapt and find new ways to thrive, especially in such a competitive market.
There have even been reports of staff reductions and some studio closures.
So it sounds like a pretty turbulent time over at Ubisoft.
Yeah. But they did issue a statement acknowledging the ongoing strategic review, and they mentioned an independent committee overseeing it all.
Well, at least they're being transparent about the process.
Definitely keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
It does make you wonder how this potential split will play out. Will it really unlock that much more value? And what about the impact on the development teams and the games themselves?
So many questions.
Yeah.
Guess we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds.
Speaking of unfolding, let's move on to a development in the mobile gaming world that's got everyone talking.
Oh yeah, this one's big. Scopely is set to acquire Pokémon Go from Niantic.
Wow! Scopely, the Monopoly Go people. Acquiring Pokémon Go, that's massive.
Massive is an understatement. The deal is reportedly worth a whopping $3.5 billion.
$3.5 billion. That's a serious chunk of change. Clearly, they see Pokémon Go as a real gold mine.
And it's not just Pokémon Go. It includes all of Niantic's third-party games.
So Monster Hunter Now and Pikmin Bloom are part of the package, too.
That's right, the whole shebang.
Wow, Scopely's really going all in on mobile gaming.
It makes sense when you think about it. Pokémon Go is still incredibly popular.
Over 100 million active players last year alone.
And it's not just about the numbers. It's the way the game gets people out and about interacting with each other in the real world.
True, those community events they hold are incredibly popular.
It's a unique aspect of Pokémon Go that Scopely clearly sees value in.
I just hope they don't mess with the formula too much.
That seems to be the big concern among Pokémon Go fans.
Yeah.
Given Scopely's reputation for monetization.
Yeah, they've been known to implement some pretty aggressive monetization strategies in other games they've acquired.
I can understand why people are worried, especially when you have a game as beloved as Pokémon Go.
It's understandable for people to be a little wary. It's their game, their community.
To be fair, Niantic did try to reassure everyone.
Oh yeah, what did they say?
Ed Wu, Niantic's CEO, said that the Pokémon Go development team will stay together and join Scopely.
Okay, that's good to hear. At least the people who know and love the game are sticking around.
Yeah, and he emphasized that Scopely believes in the game's mission, bringing people together and all that.
Well, I hope that translates into respecting the player base and not just focusing on squeezing every last dollar out of them.
We can only hope.
So if Scopely's taking over Pokémon Go and all that, what happens to Niantic?
It seems like this deal will allow them to refocus on some of their other projects.
Oh, right, like their original game, Ingress?
Yep, Ingress is staying with them,
Okay.
along with their virtual pet experiment, Peridot.
I actually haven't tried Peridot yet. How is it?
Pretty cute. Definitely leans into the whole AR real-world interaction thing.
Interesting. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and they're forming this new company called Niantic Spatial, which will focus on what they call geospatial AI.
Geospatial AI? That
Yeah.
sounds pretty high-tech.
Basically, it's AI that understands and interacts with real-world geographical data.
Oh, okay, so that ties into what they've been doing with Pokemon Go and Ingress.
Exactly. John Hank, the founder of Niantic, will be leading this new venture.
It does feel like a strategic shift for them, maybe moving away from the third-party partnerships and focusing on their own tech and IP.
Yeah, and they're still pioneers in the AR space, so it'll be interesting to see what they come up with next.
Definitely. It looks like both companies are trying to play to their strengths with this deal.
And speaking of playing to strengths, it looks like LEGO is making some interesting moves in the gaming world.
Oh, Lego. What's going on with them?
Well, word on the street is they're going to focus more on developing their own video games internally.
Oh, wow. So less reliance on partnering with external studios.
That seems to be the plan. They've been working with external studios for ages.
Yeah, TT Games was pretty much the go-to Lego game developer for years.
More than a decade, they pumped out tons of LEGO games based on all sorts of franchises.
Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, you name it, they Legofied it.
But it looks like that era of annual LEGO game releases is coming to an end.
Although I hear TT Games is still working on another project.
Yeah, but in the meantime, LEGO's been branching out, licensing their brand to other developers.
Like that big collaboration with Epic Games for Fortnite.
Exactly. That was a pretty huge deal.
Integrating Lego into Fortnite with things like Lego Fortnite Odyssey and Brick Life.
And LEGO's even got their own little team designing game concepts directly within Fortnite now.
They must be really impressed with the way Unreal Engine can replicate Lego bricks and physics.
It seems that way. LEGO's boss, Niels Christensen, has talked about investing heavily in their internal game development teams.
It's a bold move, but I guess it makes sense. They have such a strong brand and a dedicated fan base.
And being a family-owned company gives them the freedom to think long-term.
Yeah, no pressure from shareholders to turn out a new game every year.
It'll be interesting to see what they come up with when they're fully in control of the creative process.
Now, for something a little different, let's talk about Disco Elysium.
Ah, Disco Elysium, one of the most unique and critically acclaimed RPGs in recent memory.
And guess what? They're adapting it for mobile devices.
That's great news for people who haven't had a chance to experience it yet.
But it's not just a straight port. They're calling it a reimagined version of the game.
Reimagine, how so?
They're specifically designing it for short bursts of play, something you can pick up and play on the go.
Makes sense for mobile gaming.
Yeah, and get this, their target audience is TikTok users.
Whoa, that's a specific demographic.
They want to captivate the TikTok user, as they put it.
So I guess that means lots of quick hits of story, art, and audio.
Exactly. They're adapting the gameplay to work on a vertical phone screen with Swiping dialogue options, almost like a visual novel.
That's quite a departure from the original game.
It is, but it's about making the game more accessible for mobile players, according to the studio head, Dennis Hovell, and the narrative lead, Chris Priestman.
It'll be interesting to see how they translate such a dense and nuanced game into that format.
Yeah, Disco Elysium is known for its rich dialogue and complex themes.
It's scheduled to launch on Google Android in the summer of 2025, with the first 2 chapters being free.
Okay, so kind of a freemium model.
Yeah, you can unlock the rest of the game with a single purchase.
That's a pretty common approach for mobile games.
Definitely makes it more enticing for people to try it out.
Speaking of trying things out, ZAUM, the studio behind Disco Elysium, also announced a brand new RPG called C4.
So they're not just resting on their laurels with the mobile adaptation.
Nope, they're still pushing the boundaries of the genre.
And there are a bunch of other studios founded by former Disco Elysium developers working on new projects too.
Wow, they've really spawned a whole generation of talented RPG developers.
It's a testament to the impact of that game, and it's exciting to see what they'll create next.
Now, for something that's got a lot of console gamers buzzing, there are reports suggesting Microsoft is already working on a next-gen Xbox.
Next gen already. The Series X and S aren't that old yet.
I know, right? But the rumor mill is churning, and the reports are saying Microsoft is targeting a 2027 release for this new console.
2027, that's not too far off considering the development cycles for these things.
And they're apparently describing it as a premium successor to the Xbox Series X.
So even more powerful than the Series X.
Seems like it. And some sources are saying it's already in full production.
Wow, if that's true, they must be pretty far along in development.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising considering they've publicly said they're committed to developing new console hardware.
But wait, there's more.
More. What else is there?
There are also reports of a separate Xbox-branded gaming handheld in the works.
A handheld. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's codenamed Keenan.
Keenan. I like the sound of that.
And they're supposedly partnering with a company that specializes in building PC gaming handhelds.
Oh, so they're not building this one completely in-house.
Seems that way. But it's still supposed to have that distinctive Xbox design.
Cool. When is this supposed to come out?
They're aiming for a release later this year, according to the reports.
This year. Wow, that's soon.
Yeah, but that's not all. Apparently, Microsoft is also developing their own Xbox handheld internally.
Hold on, so 2 handhelds, one with a partner and one they're building themselves.
That's what the reports suggest. And this internally developed one is also slated for a 2027 release, alongside the new console.
So they're going all in on handheld gaming, it seems.
Yeah, and supposedly they're even developing new controller options to go with all this new hardware.
This is getting really interesting. I wonder what they're going to call these new consoles and handhelds.
Yeah, the naming game is always fun to speculate about.
It makes you wonder what their overall strategy is here, you know? They've been bringing some of their first-party games to other platforms.
Like PC and even PlayStation in some cases.
Yeah, so you could argue they're not as tied to their own hardware as they used to be.
But these new console and handheld plans suggest they're still very much invested in the hardware side of things.
It does feel like they're trying to cover all their bases, offering a diverse ecosystem of gaming options.
Yeah, reaching gamers wherever they are, whether it's on a console, PC, or a handheld.
Smart move, I think. Catering to a wider audience can only be good for them in the long run.
Definitely keeps them competitive,
Yeah.
especially with Sony and Nintendo constantly innovating.
Speaking of innovation, have you heard about Microsoft's new AI-powered assistant for Xbox?
Oh yeah, Copilot for gaming, right?
That's the one. It's designed to be like your ultimate gaming companion.
Like a super helpful AI friend who just wants you to have the best gaming experience possible.
Exactly. They're saying it can save you time, help you discover new games, and even help you get back into games you haven't played in a while.
So it's like a personal game recommender and a guide all rolled into one.
Yeah, pretty much. They're emphasizing that it's built on these principles of being capable, adaptable, and personalized.
Personalized, huh? So it learns your gaming habits and tailors its suggestions to you.
That's the idea. It can also apparently help you with setup, offer in-game coaching, and even facilitate social connections.
It's like having a built-in expert gamer friend who's always there to lend a hand.
They even showed some demos of it in action. Like in Overwatch 2, it could recommend characters based on your playstyle.
Oh, that's neat. And in Minecraft, it could provide step-by-step instructions for building things.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. But I imagine some people might be a little hesitant about having an AI assistant involved in their gaming.
Yeah, I could see that. Some people might prefer to figure things out on their own.
And there are always concerns about AI being too intrusive, collecting data on your gaming habits.
Microsoft did emphasize that it's still early days for Copilot for gaming.
So it's a work in progress, basically.
Yeah, and they're stressing that it's all about understanding what players need and that it won't be forced on anyone.
Okay, so they're taking a cautious approach, which is good.
Yeah, and they're saying players will have full control over how they interact with it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. The potential is there, but it'll depend on how well they implement it and how players respond to it.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
It is. It seems like everyone's trying to get into the AI game these days, even Sony.
Oh, right. There was that leaked footage showing Sony experimenting with AI-powered PlayStation characters.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
And of all the characters they could have chosen, they went with Aloy from Horizon.
Which is kind of ironic considering the whole theme of Horizon is about humanity's struggle with advanced AI.
Yeah, the irony was not lost on anyone.
So what exactly did this demo show?
Well, basically, it showed a Sony employee interacting with an AI version of Aloy.
And what could this AI Aloy do?
It could respond to questions using an AI-generated voice, and it even had facial expressions powered by AI.
So it was like having a conversation with a virtual Aloy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It could even share lore from the Horizon games.
That's pretty impressive from a technical standpoint, at least.
It was apparently developed with Guerrilla Games, the studio behind Horizon.
So they're involved in this AI experimentation as well.
It seems that way. They used a bunch of different AI technologies for this demo.
Oh, like what?
OpenAI's Whisper and GPT-4 for language processing, Sony's own emotional voice synthesis for the voice, and their Mockingbird technology for the facial animations.
Wow, that's a lot of AI firepower.
The response to this leak was pretty interesting. Ashley Birch, the actress who voices Aloy, weighed in on it.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing something about that. What did she say?
Well, Guerrilla confirmed that the demo wasn't representative of any active development plans, and they said they didn't use any of Ashley Birch's performance data.
Okay, so it was just an experiment, not something they're actually working on for a game.
Yeah, but Ashley Birch still raised some important points about the implications of using AI in game performance.
She's a voice actor, so she has a personal stake in this.
Absolutely. She expressed concerns about the potential for AI to replace human performers, taking away jobs and livelihoods.
That's a valid concern, especially with all the talk about AI replacing jobs in various industries.
And she also talked about the need for consent, fair compensation, and transparency when it comes to using AI in creative fields.
Yeah, that's important. If they're using an actor's likeness or voice for an AI character, they should have the actor's permission and be compensated fairly.
And she tied it back to the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strikes, highlighting how these issues are at the forefront of discussions within the acting community.
It's a reminder that while AI can be a powerful tool for creativity, it also raises important ethical questions that we need to address.
And speaking of addressing things, Sony's been quietly expanding the cloud streaming capabilities on their PlayStation Portal handheld.
Oh yeah, the Portal. That's their new handheld device, right?
Yeah, it essentially lets you stream games from your PS5 to a handheld device.
I remember when they announced it, the focus was on streaming PS5 games.
That was the initial focus, but they've now expanded it to include almost every PS1 and PSP game from the PlayStation Plus Premium Classics catalog.
Whoa, so you can stream all those classic games to the Portal now.
That's right. No need to have your PS5 turned on. You can just stream them directly to the handheld.
That's a pretty sweet deal for anyone who's got a Portal and a PS Plus Premium subscription.
Imagine playing games like Ape Escape, Tekken, or Legend of Dragoon on the go.
That's a nostalgia overload right there.
And this expanded cloud streaming feature is currently in beta, available in 30 countries.
I wonder when it'll officially roll out to everyone.
They haven't announced a date yet, but they've got instructions on how to access the beta on the PlayStation Support website.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Speaking of checking things out, let's talk about Roblox.
Oh, Roblox, the platform that's beloved by kids and sometimes viewed with suspicion by parents.
Yeah, there's always a lot of discussion about Roblox, especially when it comes to child safety.
Makes sense, given how many young users are on that platform.
And David Basicki, the CEO of Roblox, recently made some pretty blunt statements about those parental concerns.
Oh, really? What did he say?
He basically said that if parents are uncomfortable with Roblox, they should just not let their kids use it.
Wow, that's a pretty direct approach.
Yeah, kind of a take it or leave it stance.
I can understand where he's coming from to a certain extent.
He did say that they take child safety very seriously.
Yeah.
And that they have a lot of tools and parental controls in place.
Well, that's good to hear. They do have a responsibility to create a safe environment for their users.
He even said that even one bad incident is too many.
That's the right attitude to have.
But suggesting that parents should just opt out if they're concerned doesn't really address the root of those concerns.
Yeah, it kind of shifts the responsibility away from the platform itself.
And then he went on to compare building Roblox to Walt Disney designing Disneyland.
That's a pretty ambitious comparison.
And he even called Roblox the future of communication.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It's definitely a popular platform with almost 80 million daily active users.
And they're aiming for 1 billion users eventually.
Yeah, but they have faced criticism, about not doing enough to protect young users.
Yeah, there have been reports of arrests related to online interactions on Roblox and accusations of exploiting young creators.
And Turkey recently banned Roblox altogether, citing concerns about child exploitation.
That's a pretty serious measure.
It definitely highlights the challenges of running a platform with such a huge and young user base.
It's a balancing act, trying to foster creativity and fun while also ensuring safety and responsibility.
And Bazuki's comments, while acknowledging the importance of safety, don't seem to fully grasp the complexity of the issue.
Yeah, simply telling parents to opt out feels like a bit of a cop-out.
Now, for something a little lighter, let's talk about anime girl design.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Genzo Hosoi, a producer for the Atelier RPG series, had put forward a rather unique theory.
I'm intrigued. What's the theory?
He suggests that the popularity of certain anime girl designs is linked to the state of the economy.
Wait, what? The economy influences anime girl design?
That's his theory. He specifically pointed to the character Ryza from the Atelier Ryza games.
Ryza, she's the one with the more voluptuous figure, right?
Yeah, and Hosoi calls this the plump figure trend.
Plump figure trend, huh? And he thinks this is tied to the economy.
He suggests that during economic recessions, people tend to prefer characters with fuller figures.
Interesting. So when times are tough, we want our anime girls to be well-fed.
Something like that. He even referenced some studies that apparently show people preferring fuller figures when they're hungry or feeling a sense of scarcity.
I'd be curious to see those studies.
It's definitely an interesting theory, whether or not there's any scientific basis for it.
It's definitely food for thought, pun intended.
And despite this plump figure theory, the protagonist of the upcoming Atelier Yumiya game will apparently not follow this trend.
Oh, so they're breaking the mold.
They're saying they want her to have a more cutting-edge design and that they don't want her to look too much like Ryza.
Makes sense. You don't want every character to look the same.
It's all about variety.
It is, but it also makes you wonder if there is any truth to this theory. Will we see a shift back to more slender designs as the economy recovers?
That's a good question, and one we'll have to wait and see the answer to.
Only time will tell.
Okay, let's wrap things up with a couple of quick updates.
Sounds good.
First up, Power Wash Simulator 2 has been officially announced.
Oh, nice. I loved the first Power Wash Simulator. Such a relaxing and satisfying game.
The sequel is coming out in 2025 for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S.
So all the major platforms covered?
Yeah, and they're adding a bunch of new features.
Oh, like what?
4-player online co-op, 2-player local split screen, a central hub area for customization,
Co-op Power Wash Simulator. That sounds like a lot of fun.
and a new campaign set in Muckingham and Caldera County,
New locations to clean. Excellent.
plus improved visuals and a new soaping system.
They're really upping the ante with the sequel.
And there's no VR version planned, at least not yet.
I could actually see that working quite well, but maybe it's too niche.
The original Power Wash Simulator was a huge hit, over 17 million players.
Wow, that's impressive. Clearly there's a demand for virtual cleaning.
There is something oddly satisfying about it.
Absolutely. It's like a Zen garden in video game form.
Now, for our final update, get this. Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 3 is already in development.
Wait, seriously, Space Marine 2 just came out like 6 months ago?
I know, it seems super fast, but Saber Interactive, the developers, have confirmed it.
Well, I guess when you have a hit on your hands, you strike while the iron's hot.
Space Marine 2 was both a critical and commercial success.
So it makes sense they'd want to keep the momentum going.
They're saying the third game is in very early development.
So we probably won't be seeing it for a while yet.
Probably not, but they're promising an even more immersive experience with even larger scale battles.
More epic Space Marine action? I can't wait.
It's expected to continue the story of Ultramarines Captain Titus.
So more of the same badassery we've come to expect.
And Saber has said they'll continue supporting Space Marine 2 with new content and updates.
Oh, that's good to hear. Always nice to see continued support for a game after launch.
Yeah, they've got Update 7.0 planned, which will include private PvP lobbies, a new operation, a new PvE weapon, and some reworks to weapon loadouts and perks.
Sounds like a pretty substantial update.
They're really committed to keeping players engaged.
Which is awesome. It builds goodwill and keeps the community active.
Well, that about wraps up the news for this week.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground.
We did. From BlizzCon's hiatus to potential acquisitions, new hardware rumors, and even theories about anime girl design, it's been a whirlwind.
It really highlights how dynamic the gaming industry is, Always evolving, always something new happening.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about.
Definitely. For me, the most interesting developments are the ones related to AI.
Yeah, Microsoft's Copilot for gaming and Sony's experiments with AI-powered characters.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era in gaming, with AI playing a much bigger role.
And that raises all sorts of questions about the future of game development, the role of human creativity, and even the ethics of using AI in creative fields.
It's exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
Absolutely. What about you, dear listener? What news caught your attention the most? What are you excited about, or maybe a little concerned about? We encourage you to dig deeper into the stories that piqued your interest and share your thoughts with the gaming community.
And as a final thought, consider this. How might all these seemingly disparate news items, the platform shifts, the AI advancements, the design trends be connected? Are they all pointing towards a future of gaming that we can't quite grasp yet? It's definitely something worth pondering.
And we'll catch you next week with more gaming news.